last class. I had network issues. So
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Nobody saying anything, but okay, that's fine. Uh, please give me a minute. I want to confirm that this thing is being recorded. I don't want. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it's recording. Okay, it's recording. All right, so let's just jump into today's discussion. So we're supposed to talk about building scalable Flask applications and Flask blueprints. So yes, so what's the idea behind building scalable applications? So the idea is so far we've been building Flask applications, simple Flask applications using one module or one file. I mean that's been status quo so far. So you want to create a simple a Flask application, you'd create a simple file, add to py, then you run that file as you would any normal Python file, and your Flask server will start. However, things can get pretty messy when you need to add more and more functionality to your code base or to your server. So, for example, you might want to add um, models to your database. You might want to add multiple routes. You could also want to add like schema for data serialization. You want to add extra functionality, extensions. You want to write middleware. You want to write all of that stuff. Putting everything inside one file would work, but it's not exactly best practice, and it can come back to bite you in the leg, especially when you have so many variables and you have problem keeping track with which variable is which. So it's very important for you to know how to scale your application. The, the larger your application gets, the more sophisticated your architecture will tend to get. So you need to know how to build scalable applications in that sense. So the word scalable, you might have heard of it somewhere else. So you can build applications to scale in terms of how fast they work, or in terms of like reducing latency and all that stuff. But that's what we're discussing today. Here we're just talking about how you can build scalable Flask application based on your your application architecture, your folders, how do you structure files, separating different functionalities into different files, and making them work as a single unit. So we'll learn how to do that in this class. Um, Before I go on, does everybody understand what I just said about building scalable applications? Is what we're about to do making sense at all from what I've said so far? Or do you have questions?
it makes sense. I'm with you.
Okay. Chidima, please, if you are there, can you say something? I think this can be your first class. This is your first class. I see you were missing your mic before. Oh wait, okay. Are you following Chidima? Okay, if you are following, even if you don't want to talk, just raise your hand up, just so I know that you can hear me. Let's wait a few seconds. All right, fine. So
Why don't you want to talk?
don't worry, it's fine, it's fine. You can drop your hand now. Do you have mic issues? Okay, is your mic not working? If your mic is not working, raise your hand up. I
My
guess
mic is
no.
working. I can hear you guys.
There we go. Why did you want to talk?
No one talking for now.
All right, all right, all right. Great. So you understand, Abby?
Understand what?
Like what I've said so far about building scalable applications.
What you were saying about what did you say?
Everything I said so far. Wait, did you hear me in the past like 2-3 minutes?
No, I wasn't really comfortable. Sorry.
Oh, okay, okay. You see, this is why it's important for me to ask these kind of questions. So like, so I know if you are following or not. So yeah, what I was saying before is that today's class is going to be all about learning how to build scalable applications. And by scalable, what I mean is we don't want to have all of our the functionality of our application inside one file anymore, because as you are building more and more, writing more and more code, and your application is getting larger and larger, you need to add more functionalities to that single file. Okay, let me just, instead of talking too much, let me just show you. Let me just show you. So if you are building a simple Flask application, using it in a single file like we've been doing so far is fine. Like this is fine, but you could have multiple routes. Like say you are having like 20 routes inside one file, get really messy, and it will be very hard for you to keep track of everything that's going on in your file. Everything that's going on in the file. We have this many routes in one file. There's no problem with this, so but if it was just routes, so then you cannot have, say you now have models up here. Model, some gibberish, you have a number of models, so, and plenty of that stuff, inside one file. It can get problematic because you might want to create variables that will share the same name, and you might not even know. So along the line, you'll be getting some funny semantic or syntax errors in your code. So what we are trying to do is to break all of these functions. So instead of having all of these models inside here, we can have a separate file called like models or py. We can have another file for endpoints, Flask endpoints. You call it routes or py or views or py. We can have, it's just separating, packing all of that functionality inside this single file. You can separate them into different files and then still make the whole thing work as one. So that's what I mean by building scalable applications. Someone is trying to enter. Building scalable. Is someone else sharing their screen? I hope you guys are seeing my screen.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, yeah. Sorry, it was from network. Wow, back there. Yeah, so you can
Okay.
hear me, Abby.
Yeah, I
Cool.
can.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm going to say today. And yeah, there's actually a number of ways to achieve this. So we'll go from using Python packages, then we'll talk about blueprints, which is like the in-views option that Flask provides us with. How many of you are familiar with Python packages here? This is being recorded. How many of us are familiar with Python packages? If you are familiar with it, please raise up your hand. Use the raise hand something here. Or can anybody just raise your hand if you are familiar with Python packages? Not libraries or Python package. Is that anybody? Okay. I take it that means no one is familiar with Python packages. Does anyone know what a module is? A Python module. Or have you heard of these things I'm saying? Have you even heard them before? Python packages, Python module. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So Isaac, are you familiar with packages?
Not really, but I've heard about modules though. I've heard a bit about modules.
Okay, so what do you think a module is? Or what have you heard about modules? What's a Python module?
When I heard about modules, it was in relation to, I think, building of forms and class templates. That's the ORMs. So I don't know if it's the same thing we're talking about here.
Ah, I see. It's not exactly the same thing. Okay, so thank you for thank you for that. So a Python module is simply a file, a single Python file. In general computing terms, this is a file, but as far as Python is concerned, it considers this .py as a module. So in C++, I think a C++ files is considered, there's a word for it, there's a funny word for it today. But Python regards every single file as a module, as a Python module. And you can run modules, and you can also import stuff into and from modules. For example, I am importing a Flask class from another module. If you can see my screen very well, you see that here it's saying, okay, let me zoom in. You can see when I hover my cursor on top of this Flask, see in bracket, it's telling me what kind of object this is. It says module. Yeah, so that's a module. Emoji is just a file, and I can actually go to where this is, and you will realize that this is just a file somewhere. A file double underscore init.py, that's part of a package. So this is an example of a package. I'll explain what this is, but you see that it's just a single file here. That's the module. A Python module is basically a Python file. It's as simple as that. Now, a Python package, on the other hand, is how Python thinks of folders. That's a simplified definition, but that's how Python thinks of folders. So if I have a folder here called flag, no, let me take flags, called ECX. I have a folder here called ECX. This is a folder here, but in order for it to become a package, I need to add this file called double underscore init double underscore py. So this way, Python will think will see this folder and realize that this is a package. You guys get? So a single file is a module. A folder that has this double underscore init double underscore py is called a package. So if you see anything that looks like that, that's a package. So for example, you see this Flask folder here. When I open it, there's this, you see that there's double underscore in it. There could be a bunch of other stuff inside the folder. It doesn't matter. So long as this init.py is inside that folder, it's be considered as a package or as a Python package. And there are benefits to have, doing things this way. One benefit, as you might already imagine, is that you can have multiple modules inside a single package. So, and it helps to keep things neat. And this is what we're going to be leveraging on to build scalable applications. So, do you guys get it? And by the way, I'm not going to always say double underscore in it. I call it Donda. So Donda as in not DONDL as in pen can't use that one, but DUNDER. Donda in it. Right. So meaning double underscore. B is just like short, word for double. So any questions before I continue? Do you understand what a package is and what a module is?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, can someone apart from Isaac tell us what they understand by a Python package, or what the difference is between a module and a package? This is actually quite important. I'm going to go further to teach you and explain our blueprints, because blueprints uh, heavily utilizes the concept of packages, and you need to understand how packages work. So I need to be sure that you understand it. Is everybody clear on what Python packages are and what the difference is between the two of them? So anyone aside Isaac, Damilola, Chidima, Joshua, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay. Somebody should talk now. I've never heard Damilola talk before. Or don't you get it? This is why I'm asking these questions, to be sure that you understand. You're not writing an exam. It's just the code. So I, did he, did he leave the call? I think someone, okay, Damilola leave the call. Maybe it's nice and expired. Chitima. No, okay, I've taken it. Okay. Since no one is going to talk, I'm going to assume that everybody understands what that is. Please ask your questions now if you don't understand. So yeah, that's what packages are and that's what modules are. So we're going to be leveraging these modules or the behavior of modules and use them to upscale what we already have here. So let me see, let me bring this down. Can I bring this down? Okay. So what we can do is to let me rename this folder first of all. Call this core. Yeah. This is not a naming convention. You can use whatever name you want. So just core. The only thing that is by convention here is this double underscore. It needs double underscore the py. It has to be this way because Python will look for this here. Now another interesting behavior about packages is that you can work with them as you would regular modules. So No, before I said you can import from a module and you can import into a module. So here I'm importing from Flask and I'm importing into app.py, which is a module as well. So what we can do is we can also import something. So let me add something into this Python package here. So I can type some code inside this init.py. Aside the fact that it helps it helps Python differentiate between a regular folder and a package. You can also add code inside here that you can execute. So here I have a function in here called call me, and all this function does is to print you have called the function. So if all this function does is this, I can import that function from this package inside of this module here as I would any other module. So let me clear all of that code first. Then I'll do from core, which is the name of the Python package. So it's as if it were it just it works as though it were a regular module. So you see that it's giving the name core. From core import what's the name, call me, and you can see intelligence is picking it up and it can already suggest it to me that there's a call me function inside here, and I can just call the function call me in this uh, module here, and when I run this Python file, you see it says you have called the function here. So it's a work like a regular module would. So and you can the added benefit is that it's not just a single file. I can add extra things inside of here. So let me demonstrate that. Let's say I add a new file in here and I call this hello.py. Yeah. So if I add this hello.py now, let's add a new function called hello world inside here. And say this one, what this one does is it prints hello world to the console. Now I can import from here also. So so watch this. If I wanted to import from hello world, which is inside this package, mind you, this package behaves like a module. So it might be quite confusing because if I had like a regular another module here, say main.py, yeah. And typically, if I were to import anything from this module, it will just be from main, which is the name of the module, import something. Abi. However, if there's no way I can, you can't do something like, for example, you can't do something like from main dot um, extensions import something. You can't do that, but with packages you can, because packages are like folders. They're like modules on steroid. So they have like you can add multiple modules inside of them, so that you don't have all that code inside one place. So you can add multiple modules inside packages and call or import stuff from these sub modules that are inside a package. So because of that, you are able to do something like from main dot something import something. If that makes any sense. So for the regular modules, all you can do is just import whatever it is you want directly from there. So let's import this hello world function inside of app.py. So we'll do from core, which is the name of our Python of our package. From core, import from core the hello, as you can see here, it already gives us that suggestion. Call the hello, import what do we call the function? Hello world. So and here we can call that function hello world. And when I run this file, see here it says hello world. That's because we imported, the function from a sub module inside core. Now note that there's a difference. Why is it that I didn't say from code or double underscore init earlier on? Like why didn't I do that? Because after all, that's the name of this file here, and here I'm saying from code or hello. That's the name. That's because that's the name of this module here. Well, you see, the thing about the init.py file is that it carries the name of the package itself. So all you have to do is when you say from core, if this core is a package, yeah, automatically it's referring to this init.py file. That's like the default reference point for any sort of import or from or into that package. So that's reference point. When you refer to core, you're actually referring to double underscore init.py, which is why when I said from core, you know, implicitly I'm referring to init.py. So from core import what's it called? Import the function call me. Yeah, and that's how it works. But because this one is not init.py, init.py is a special case. Because this is not init.py, you need to specify the name of the module or the sub module inside of it. Does that make any sense? Does everybody understand that? Do you have questions, rather? Do you have questions? Go and set some up. Any questions so far? Are you guys hearing me, Sha?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
And there are no questions.
From my end, none.
Joshua, can you hear me? Joshua, is Joshua there? Chidima, any questions? Okay, I take it there are no questions, so I will proceed. So yeah, that's how packages work. So because of this behavior, we can leverage on this property. You can already see, I don't know, but you might already be able to realize how the way packages work could help us. Because here I'm adding another file and I'm already able to import stuff from it. Because of this behavior, we can add multiple things inside of here, and that will replace the way we're doing before with a single file and adding all of it. So we just create a package and add a bunch of other functionalities inside of the package. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing when we're working with packages. So let's see how we can scale a what's it called? How we can scale a Python application using blueprint. Sorry, packages first of all. So that was just a quick primer on how packages work. So let me create a new. Let me delete that one. Okay. I'm going to create a new folder or in a new folder which for my package. So I'm going to create a new folder called core. And I'll go inside the core folder. Inside the core folder, I'm going to add the double underscore in this file. You realize why this is important because this is how we are going to tell Python that this folder is a package here. So we've created the double underscore, done that in this file. Then go out of that folder, the core folder, create one. Yeah, before I go there, let me. So let's create a file for our models, create file for models, create a file for views, what else? Yeah. One last file called run.py. So let's open this code now again. Is my screen clear enough?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So here I've created a new folder called core, or a new package, as you can see. So we created a new package inside here. And we're going to separate our code into these different files here. So before we used to have models inside the same file, run the routes inside the same file, and we run the application inside the same file. But here, when we're doing that, we're going to use packages to see how we can beef up our infrastructure. So here, let me see. So in here, we're going to add the. Wait, do you guys know what the application factory is? Right. Have you heard of the application factory for Flask? I don't know if this guy has touched it before. The other Flask guy, if he has mentioned it. Hello.
I doubt it. If he has, I was not in the class when we did.
Okay.
But sorry, apart from
All right.
that, I noticed your
Notice what?
init.py, your
Yeah.
init.py, the file you called init.py, it's separate from the ones under the virtual environment. Why is that?
It's separate from these ones.
Yes.
Okay,
I
you
thought
mean
they
they're
would
not
be under
inside
the
the
same.
package?
Yes.
You mean okay, yeah. So I'll explain that in a minute. There's a reason for that. So well
Okay.
let's talk about okay, let's just go. Let's just start. So we have a simple Flask application from here. So inside of core, we'll just be doing the same thing. So in the init of py, we'll do the same thing. From Flask, import Flask, create a new application or a new app instance, double underscore name. So and that's pretty much what we are going to be doing here. So and if we had any extra extension, I believe you guys already know what ORMs are. So let me. So I'm not afraid to show you how to write code I'm about to write now. So let me install Flask SQL Alchemy. Yeah, Flask SQL Alchemy. It's slow. So, anyways, you can always write code regardless. So if you had like extensions from here, so I can do them like from Flask, SQL Alchemy, import SQL Alchemy, like that. Uh, sorry, create the SQL to be after. So from here as well, we create the SQL Alchemy instance and passing the application. So we had configurations. So we do SQL Alchemy. I believe this you guys did this in the last class now. Three. This is ORM now. Hello. Database. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, did you guys do all of this stuff that I'm writing in class? Last class, rather.
I was going to last class. I was going
Oh, you're not in the class. Oh,
to
no.
last class.
Chidima, were you in the last class?
So some people, when they think about
Hello? What'd you say?
it, they'll break even on. So that's what I plan on doing. It was just
Oh,
the
you left.
at the end started like, where's the time? Because
Ah.
I bought
So you've not seen this SQL alchemy thing before. Did you watch the record? Okay, the recording is not on YouTube yet, Abby.
No, not just yet. So
what the thing
there's
I
always like I don't want to discourage you from doing
let me ask you
it.
this.
Exactly.
Because the thing is
I
my
can't
problem
really
is that I
hear
have not had
you
time. I
well.
bought this I hard end Robidana 80K.
I said
I
the
bought it
recording is not yet available.
since July. And I'm not,
Yeah, it's
I'm
not
not
yet
starting.
available.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? It's not important, child. When the recording is available, you can always watch it and understand what I'm doing here. But the point is to show you how to build scalable applications, of course. So here I'm just doing this. All of what I'm writing typically would normally be inside a single file, but I'm just showing you like the normal flow. So here it just had like, say I had like base directory OS get env sorry, this the path, the house path OS get direction. So this just fetches the path to where we are currently at, and then we specify this as our URI for the database or where the database is located. SQLite, VB, sorry, dev.db. So just some config here. We instantiated the app, some configuration. So the normal flow here. We could have all of this inside init.py. However, our models will be somewhere here. So we can entirely put all of our models inside a different file completely, which is here. Instead of me start writing class, blah blah blah, I'm write it there. So for all I need to do is I need to get this DB instance, the SQL Alchemy, the ORM instance. So to get that, I can just do from here. I can do like I did earlier. So from core, I don't need to do core dot anything because it's inside init.py. Whenever I'm referring to core, I'm referring to this. Like I said earlier. So from core imports, when it imports DB, yeah. And I have what I need. So I can just write. I can write some models here. db.model ID is equal. All of this model stuff was discussed in the ORM class. So ID is equals to db.column string integer. I want this to be the primary key. Set that to true. Nullable is false. So it has my name, db.column string email. I don't expect that email should be longer than 200 characters. And I also want it to be unique, so I set it for true. Password. Same goes for password. Aside the unique what should be. I'm going to be storing password hashes instead of actual password. So don't mind all the nonsense I'm saying. You find out what those things mean later. So note db model. Let's just copy all of this stuff. Yeah. Title and body. This would be a text field. A text field. And so we have a simple user and note modules using SQL Alchemy. Now we added models here. So let's add routes or the endpoints to our server. So we can also just do from core imports imports app, because we need to call our app routes. So here call index, create the handler, just return a simple JSON object. So message hello, hello there. Then we do a what's it called? Yeah, this is enough. This is good enough. So do 200 up out. You know, pretty neat stuff. So as you can see, we've separated these things into like two different files. So we have models. This is my virtual environment. So this is models in one file. We have views or routes in another file, and we have the application config and stuff inside another file using packages. Now, how do we actually run this stuff? Because everything is now inside separate modules. How do we bring everything together and run them? This is where the run the py file comes into play. And all we have to do here is to import the app instance or the Flask app instance, which is inside core, which is yeah, this app. We need it. So the same way we imported it in here is the same way we have to import it in run. Okay, so we just need to do from core import app. We need to import app and just do and here you can do if double underscore name, because this is not compulsory by the way, you can do it. Double underscore name, then we do app dot run. Okay, and all we have to do to run this application is to say Python run the py. Okay, let's see. We have error somewhere. Class is not support item assignment. Oh, okay. So this should be apps.config. Let's try that again. Hopefully we don't have another error. Because yeah. So as you can see, we are running the 7 Flask app called what core is. Yeah, this is it. So yeah, that's pretty much how you do it with a package. And you see that it's relatively easy, and it allows us to separate all of these things into okay, and it allows us to separate all of our functionality into separate files. We have modules in one file, we have views in one file, we have the part that actually runs the application in another file. Now let's actually create the database the modules. Okay, so that was very neat. I guess I'm going to skip that part. So, any questions so far regarding the uh, package implementation, like using packages to using packages as opposed to using what's it called? So yeah, yeah. Any question before I continue first? Any no questions?
Sir, can we go back to your file, please? The whole file.
Okay. Which one? Which of the files?
This one, yes, this one.
What name?
Okay, so
Models.
no, is it models? No, no, no. The init file,
Okay, this one.
the package.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes. So please, I know this might be a deviation from the class. The base directory that you did, the app.configuration that you did for the SQL, can you please explain it? Because I really didn't get it.
Oh, those are just well, they're not exactly necessary to everything like the Flask application is running, but not all of this stuff is being used. I was just showing you how you might do it, but okay. To explain what this is, I guess I could just show you what this does, anyways. So if I print base dir, let me print that variable out. Run this file. So yeah, as you can see, this is what it prints out here. This is the one I highlighted. C/users, below documents, projects, Flask, tools. So it
Mm.
it fetches me the path to this folder where I'm in. The folder that I'm currently inside is what this is what that is get CWD. It stands for get current working directory, or get the directory where this module that is running is currently inside of. However, when it does get the directory, sometimes it uses relative uh, paths or relative paths or references. So as opposed to giving you the full path of C/users all the way all the way from the hard drive, what you might see could be dot slash flask tools, which is not very comprehensive. So what you want is the full path. What you want is the full path to it. Kindly give me a minute. I need to do something real quick. Give me a minute. I'll be back shortly.
Okay.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, okay. So I was about to answer. So they sent us out of the class where I was. So I had to like move out, find somewhere else to settle. So let me explain. What was the question again? Sorry. Oh, I was explaining the directory. The directory thing, Abby. So
Yes. Yes.
okay, yeah. So what it does instead of giving you that dot forward a backslash flash tools, this is the full path right from the full directory so that you can get that. That's what this OS.apps path means. So apps path stands for absolute path. Is there background noise inside? Are you getting any background noise?
Yeah, it's from Abdul Malik, I guess.
No, no, I'm in a noisy place. So
Okay.
you're getting background noise. Let me remove that from there first. Is it better now?
It's okay, no
Is it
problem.
better?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So as I was saying, it gives you the full part as opposed to a relative part. That's what the apps part method is for. So it's another word for a short word for absolute part. So and that's what this is doing. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to specify a location for where my database should be, and I want it to be somewhere here inside this inside this folder. That's why this is that way. So I want it to be the same way it is. So somewhere inside this folder here. So you see that this path points to the folder that I'm currently in. So while I'm there, I save the path inside this base dir uh, variable so that I can reuse it whenever I want to use it. And where I want to use it is here when I'm specifying the database SQL Alchemy database URI config option. And what this is whenever you're using the ORM, you need to specify a location for where your database is. And that location could be anywhere. It could be a path like this, it could be a file path like this, or it could be a URL to some remote database on the internet somewhere. And you need to specify where it is, and you do so using this SQL Alchemy database URI config option here, and that's what I just did. You need to probably watch that if you missed the last class or the last two classes, because the last two classes I think they're just about ORMs, and the one before the last one was about ORMs, and then the last one was now about this guy had like a practical example class where he just explains everything about. I think he built a demo app and showed you guys last class. So you need to watch those two to fully understand, fully grasp what's going on here. Uh, well, nonetheless, it doesn't matter what I'm writing here. So what you should be looking at is how I am separating these functionalities into different files. So I'm putting one inside models, I'm putting some in views, I'm putting some in run the pie, and I've explained how you can go about doing that. So the logic behind everything is we have created an app instance inside the core package. Then we are importing everything else that we need from here into models, run, and views. Yeah. So for example, in views, we need the app instance because we need to call the route method to define a route. So we see we are doing an app.route, but we need app, which is like the variable app itself, and we're importing that from the core package, yeah, which is where we defined the app in the first place. And in modules, we also need DB. DB is also inside core. So please off your mic. Yeah, there's somebody's stuff is bouncing by. So thank you. So we have that all of that stuff here. So we have DB inside here, and we are bringing in DB from the core package and putting it in here. So another thing, this is one way to do it. Another thing we can try. So you just need to understand how packages work. So if you understand how packages work, you should be able to do an undo with them. So this is one way to do it. I have the only thing I have in the core package is I could very much as well add models and add views inside of the package and then run everything as well. Let's see how we could do that. So I could just take models, drag it inside core, move it inside the take views, drag it inside core, move it inside them. The reason I'll leave out is because we need an external something to run the whole application outside of the core package. Yeah. So the only thing I would change from here is I don't even need to change anything. So from here, because I'm still importing everything from within the core package. So one weird thing that you might be already noticing is I have added modules inside core and I've added views inside core. Why am I still saying from core or import DB, like from within from the parent from the parent package import something? So this is possible because that's how packages work. If you remember, I said whenever you call core, you're referring to init or py. So as far as models is concerned, I'm importing from another module called init py. And as far as views is concerned, I'm also importing from another module called init or py inherently, although it's called as the alias. So that's how it works. So let's test and actually run. Let's run Python run UI. So as you can see, it still works here. So we're still running the same application and everything is working fine. So this is how you can modularize in one way, or how I call it, scale your Flask application from single file applications into like multiple file or packages. It's like multiple files using a package. So yeah, before we now move on to our blueprints. Any questions from move on to blueprints, rather?
Yeah, still the same question on the arrangement of the folders of the files. I still did not get it. Though the other ones you use, that is the modules, the inits, the views, they were all out of the virtual environment. Now, if I was not using a virtual environment, let's say to practice, how do I get the run.py out of it? Or do I create another file called, let's say, main, and then the run.py will be outside it whilst under the whole file of the app? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. But I did not really understand. You said one had to be external so that it would not, so that it can run. So I didn't really get that. Sorry. Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me? Sorry for the interruption. Network, wow. Can, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, you're about to ask a question before I cut off.
Yeah, my question is still based on the arrangement of the files for the scaling. I didn't really
Okay.
understand. You said a file had to be external. So I was asking that if I was not using, because what I noticed from the arrangement of the files was that the core file was
Mm-hmm.
completely separate from that of the virtual environment here. So I was saying if I was not using a virtual environment, let's say I'm practicing on the global package,
Yeah.
how do I arrange it? Do I make all of them into a single file and then make the run.py under an external file completely? Or I don't know if you get the question,
Oh,
please.
yeah, but so the thing is, doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with virtual environments. It could be virtual. It just it just so happens that whenever you're working in a virtual environment, you always have this virtual environment folder. You get, so even if this were not there, it wouldn't affect how you arrange your files. So long as you know what you're doing, you'll be able to arrange them properly. So virtual environments are completely out of the equation. So they have no there's no bias whatsoever towards the position of virtual environment while you are arranging your files. What you should take into account is how you position your files with respect to the packages. So the first time when I did it, I had there was only one package, one file inside the package. It was just the Thunder init file inside the package. Modules view were outside of it. So the reason why run will always remain outside is because we need to be able to run our package somehow. So here's what I mean. Um, yeah, here's what I mean. So even if there were nothing inside, if you had like a simple package, yeah. Well, let me show you an example. Let me show you an example. Sorry. Okay. So let me show you an example. Let's say I have a package called test. Yes. Trust me. Let's say I have a package called test and it just has double underscore init inside of it. Yeah. So say I have print hello world inside. How do I run the package? You remember the package is a folder. How do you run the package? I'm posing the question to the audience. Anybody, how do I run the package?
Now, You can't because you've not initialized your app and all.
Because I haven't initialized the what?
The application to run,
This is
the
not a
whole
Flask
name equals to
application.
main.
This is not a Flask application. This is just a regular Python script that is inside a package. But how do you run the package? Like this print hello world now, it's supposed to print the console, Abby. But how do I go about running it?
Oh, you can use your command. Is it command prompt? Yeah, you can use your command prompt to run it. Just call the name and then run.
Okay, so I will need your help to do that. So you will guide me on how I'm going to run it. Give me a minute. So just to be clear, this is the package test. It's a folder and you have double underscore init the py inside. Yeah, how do I run it? So what should I type?
I think it should be Python test.run.
Test over
Run.
run. There's no such file called test.run. Like typically, how do you run normal Python files? Say for let's even forget packages, like a normal Python file. When you've written a Python file, how do you run
For me, I just use my VS Code, the extension, and just press play.
it? Okay, fair. Is that what everybody else? Is that what everybody does? Is that what everyone else does? If that's what you do, please raise your hand up. Raise your the emoji stuff.
Well, to run files, you just say Python, maybe put the name of the Python file.py.
Exactly. So that's how you run a normal Python file. Yeah, it's from the command prompt, Python, the name of the file. But you see that in this case, you can't just do Python double underscore init of py. There's no such file. So let me even go into test folder and let's try it. So you see that it works here. It's the same way as Joshua has described it. Python followed by the name of the Python file, then you run it. Logic remains the same even for a Python package. However, you don't always want to be typing Python init or py. And there are some instances where it's just not possible for you to do that because of the way the package has been created. So when that's it's one thing to run in Python. It's one thing for you to run a Python file. It's another thing for you to run a Python package. And the way you can do that is by using another external file to run it. Yeah, and that's what I'm doing here. Basically, I'm just saying fetch me the code inside here. What I want to run is inside this init.py. But this init.py, I can't run it alone as it is. Yeah, because of how it's created. So what I can do is to create another file and call it run.py. So say this is a function. From this run.py, I can now say from test the import. Fetch me what is inside this test because I know that I can run it. I can run run.py normally as a normal. I can just do Python run.py. So because of that, I've just assign that task to this file. Okay, you are the one that is going to be in charge of running this package, this heavy package. So just do run from import whatever is inside init.py that needs to be run, and then run it. So here I'm just going to actually call the function. So from here I can now do Python run.py. Sorry, I have to be outside of that. Just run that command again. I see that it works. So this is the same logic that we are going to use to run our Flask applications are inside of packages. We cannot directly run the package because it's not a single Python file and it has a bunch of other stuff inside. So what we are going to do instead is to use an external file to fetch the functionality that needs to be run and then run it using that file, because we can run a single file, we can't run a package as a whole. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you.
Everybody's clear on that? Yeah? Is everybody clear on that? Okay, great. So that's why I'm just doing. Let me just close this. That's what I'm doing here as well. I have this core package, has a bunch of stuff inside, but this is where I'm actually running it, using the run.py. That's what I'm doing. Just importing app and I'm running app from core. Yeah. So it's the same logic. Now, the first way I did was before was I had views and models outside of core, and I was able to do import all the necessary things I needed from core and then add them here, then use run to run them. But now I'm saying you can also add them inside of core and use the behavior of packages to still run them. So it's still the same logic. Are you guys? Do you guys get that? Does everybody understand how you can use packages to run or scale your simple Flask applications now?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. Great. So time is fast spent. We spent this 6:52, and to be honest, I am tired. So it's supposed to be 2 hours. The class is supposed to be 2 hours. So it's meaning we're supposed to end this by 7 p.m. Although we started a bit late, child. Yeah. Are there any questions? This is where we're going to stop. Next class or next time we meet, we'll quickly cover blueprints. Then we'll now move on to next stuff on the curriculum. But are there any questions regarding today's class? Any questions at all?
Oh, no, I'm fine. If there'll be any question, it's going to be the meaning of that SQL Alchemy traceback modification and the type of database you're using. I'll be no, but that is not within the scope of the class. But what was covered in the class is scaling and running it from an external file. I understand it. Thank you.
Okay. Great. So the track SQL Alchemy track modifications that I say equals to false is just an option that SQL Alchemy provides you for as far as logs are concerned. So you don't want to track every single modification as made to your database. There are some instances where you might want to do that, but for the most part, you might not need to keep track of every single change that's made to your database. Every time somebody adds new data, do you want to see it? Do you want to see a log of, okay, someone has added new data, someone has removed data or edited data? I don't want to see all of that logs inside my server logs. It's conflicting with my logs here. I don't want to see that. That's why I set it to false. But if you want to see that, you can also set it to true. And the other, you said the other one, what was the other one? Track modifications and what was the other question?
The database you're using.
Yeah, okay,
Or
so
the
for
database
here,
is configured here.
yeah, so I'm just using the default one. You cannot SQLite that comes with Python. So it's the SQLite, or you can also say dev.db. Still the same thing. Dev.db, dev.SQLite, SQLite. It's the same. Yeah, okay, I should have also added the SQLite yeah. So that's how it should be. So it's still it's SQLite that I'm using. Yeah, I didn't even create the database. It's just this one was just a demo to show you how like you can configure your application while you are still using a package to build your application. So I didn't really create the database, but if I were, it would be a SQLite database. But of course, you can use anything you want. SQL Alchemy, it doesn't matter. Just watch the video that that guy made. Yeah, implore all of you to watch the videos that you missed 2 weeks ago and last week's video. Then of course today's if you have forgotten some things. So if you now have questions, then you can note those questions, and in the next class, which is the one that will take in the next class, so you can ask him. Then if you have questions from today's recording, you will ask me in the following class. So yeah. Yeah, also like try and note the questions down so you won't forget them. So because I always ask before every at the beginning of every class, I always try and ask if there were any questions from last class. Because I hope that some of you try to do these things on your own and you're not getting it. And you have like questions that you noted down. They are from rewatching the class again or something like that. So that's why I asked them at the beginning of the class so we can clear that one out before we go into the business of the day. So yeah, that is all from me. Suppose there are no further questions. If there's, I'll see you guys in the next class. Thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.